Well, hello there, everybody. Good to see ya. Hope your week's been good. It's Friday night and the mood is right. We're going to have some fun and show you how it's done. It's a Smackdown review live, folks. Brian Zane, and I'm very happy it's the end of the week. How's everyone doing today? Welcome, welcome. I hope everything's fixed now. I believe after several weeks of troubleshooting, I've got the right mic. I reset my modem, so hopefully the frame rate will not be compromised. And we're going to have a good time tonight. Let's have some fun. Let's talk about how the show began with some Roman Reigns promo time. And this promo was just great. Probably one of the best I've heard out of Roman in a very long time, if ever. Talks about the idea of card subject to change. And you'll never see him missing work. And just when I was about to pounce on that, he goes, the only reason I left wrestling was because my health was at risk during a pandemic. So I'm glad he covered the bases there. Talks about all the parts of his body that hurt and everything, kind of being sarcastic about it and everything, especially his back since he's been carrying the company for so many years. Adam Pearce interrupts and says things are out of control. And Roman's like, nah, man, you're the one who's out of control. He takes him to task for, leaving the championship match at the Rumble because of his injury. And so basically he says, no wonder you never made it to WWE. And Paul Heyman has to laugh at that. And Adam Pearce basically calls out Heyman, like right there. And, Roman basically tells Heyman to take care of his business. Heyman cuts another great promo saying he's not a lawyer, but he grew up in a synagogue that's full of them. And he's from New York and he'll kick your ass, he says. He challenges Pearce to a match. Pearce accepts. Roman tells Pearce he's going to get his ass kicked. What a great opening segment. I mean, great promo work by everyone involved. Especially Roman, and seeing Heyman kind of get his dander up and challenging Pearce to a match as well was also very fun. Let's see here. One of the highlights of this episode was Sami Zayn, his one-man protest, handcuffing himself to the barricade for the majority of the show. And also what made it better was the rotation of signs, because he had different signs for every segment. I thought that was very clever. Your first match of the night is a non-title affair as Charlotte Flair and Asuka take on the Riot Squad. At least we get to see the tag team champions share the screen for the first time, what feels like forever, because we sure didn't see it on Raw. It's a pretty competitive match. Billie Kay once again costs her gals a victory. There's a moment where Asuka does a hip attack onto Liv off the apron, and I think Billie's supposed to catch her, but she doesn't, and either it was intentionally a bad catch or it wasn't, but either way, it worked. So then you got natural selection on Ruby Riott for the champs to win. Then afterwards, the Rioters chew out Billie for costing them the match, but Billie has got good news by saying that she got the two of them in the Rumble match, which couldn't have been that hard, because again, I'm having a hard time thinking of 30 women on the main roster who are going to get that spot. She's like, "Ooh, we can practice. I can be Bianca or I can be Carmella," and Ruby gives her the boot. Poor Billie, although I maintain she will get her revenge in the end of this. Maybe not even a vengeful, not even evil revenge. Just she'll find some way to bounce back. Success is the best revenge, I find. So let's see here. How's everyone doing? Let's see here. We got Daniel Bryan showing up for promo time. One thing I will say before I go on, before anyone asks, I don't know where Man Mountain Rock's guitar is, okay? People have been asking me about that because I know Conrad's looking for it. If I knew where that Man Mountain Rock guitar was, I would own it by now. Trust me. So our next segment, Daniel Bryan showing up for promo time. He talks about all the things he likes about the Rumble match. It makes him all warm and fuzzy inside. Talks about how winning the Rumble is the one thing he's not done in his career. And suddenly Cesaro interrupts him, says that he could have said what Daniel did far better and in 5 languages. And as he's walking down the aisle, he also takes a shot at Sami Zayn, who's just chilling there. They speak in French for a minute. Daniel wants to fight him right now. And Cesaro goes, how about no? It felt like such a departure for Cesaro to even say something in that regard, in that manner. I thought it was pretty funny. So basically, he wants to do an open challenge. Out comes one half of the tag champs, Dolph Ziggler, old Dilp. He talks about, I realized I didn't even update the graphic. God, I'm just all over the place, folks. Because right now you would see that you've got Dolph Ziggler versus Cesaro on the show. I'm on top of it. So anyway, this is it's a 5-minute match. It's not very long, but it is a good match. It's a great 5-minute match. They do a shitload of stuff in this thing. I got blown up watching it. They were so athletic and so involved in this thing. So in the end, you got Cesaro winning with the neutralizer. And that's great, man. They've been really pushing the heck out of Shinsuke and Cesaro as singles guys, like really out of nowhere after like them just being in a tag team forever. Now all of a sudden, like, hey, let's just show everyone what these guys are about. And I'm totally for that. So that was a great 5-minute match. You don't need, not every match needs to be a 10 or 15-minute classic. This one was great. Up next, speaking of matches we did not expect to see, we got Heyman and Pearce coming up later on. But tonight we also have Sasha Banks versus Reginald, the sommelier, or the sommelier as they keep calling him. You know what? I filmed wine tasting, WWE wine tasting today with my sommelier friend, Dave Graydon, who helped me review a little bit of the bubbly. And I forgot to ask him if that's an acceptable pronunciation. Do you also refer to yourself as a sommelier or sommelier, like I've been taught for a long time? So anyway, last week, Sasha told Carmella she'd get her championship match if Sasha could have a match with Reggie. And so we have the match here. I love, again, Sammy's there changing up signs. It's a very lucha-esque match is the best way to describe this thing. Just watch any kind of like, low stakes lucha libre match like AAA or something, like low card stuff, and you see them doing these really fast moves and all these arm drags and everything. It was so lucha heavy here, and that's not a bad thing. I mean, Reginald showing his evasive maneuvers, flipping around hither and yon, and in the end, though, Sasha's able to capitalize, and she ends up putting the bank statement, that's what it was, on Reggie, and he taps out. And it's a fun little match. I mean, another short thing, a lot of coordination involved in this one. I'm sure there's a lot of practice, but I think they looked good doing it. And Reginald shows promise. I'm not familiar with any of his pre-WWE work, but I want to see more of what he can do in a match capacity. I wonder how long they're going to wait before they take him out of this kind of like henchman role and actually give him some proper real matches to sink his teeth into, because he's definitely got some great potential here. Backstage with Roman and Paul, I just realized this tonight, is the Iago to Roman's Jafar. And I'm not saying somebody should do a fan art of that right now, but just keep that in your mind. So anyway, he talks about how much of a genius Roman is for making the match, or for telling Heyman basically to challenge Pearce. And Roman's like, I didn't tell you to make a match with him. I just told you to rip him to shreds verbally, but now you've made the match and you got to be a man. It's on you. Be a man, Hulk. Be a man, Heyman. And Heyman looks shocked. We go to our next match, Intercontinental Championship match, as Big E defends against Apollo Crews. The rematch from a couple of weeks ago, but since that first match, we're beginning to see maybe Crews leaning toward the dark side a bit, hanging out with Roman Reigns a bit. So will this translate into anything in the match? Not so much. We only get a couple of minutes into this thing. It's not a very long match before Sammy uncuffs himself and attacks both guys. Match is thrown out, and he basically says he was robbed, and he leaves. It was a bit of a disappointment because I don't think that Crews was going to he should have won tonight. I don't think he should have won the title, especially since Big E hasn't had it for very long. But I mean, show more of the edge, show more of the dark side that we're possibly leaning towards. I felt we didn't get a whole lot of that in this matchup. It feels like we're going to get like a triple threat with these guys at the Rumble, and maybe that's a chance for them to show him doing more baddie stuff. We'll just have to wait and see where that leads off. But I mean, yeah, it's like, I guess I should have realized, I didn't really think about it when Sammy first came out, but then when you saw him there jaw jacking with a Big E, I'm like, oh, he's going to interfere somehow. And that's exactly what he did. Backstage, actually, no, before the backstage segment, we see Kevin Owens doing a car selfie promo because he's been barred from the building because Roman Reigns pulled some strings. Talks about, how Roman didn't earn his wins over Kevin. His family did that. Talks about his tattoos and the men who helped shape his life in his youth. It inspired him to be such a fighter. So he says at the Rumble, he will be the last man standing. Very solid promo by Kevin Owens here. Backstage, now we're here at this point, the Street Profits have a giant fruit basket and they want to give it to the new authority figure in town, Sonya Deville. We see her chatting with Dolph Ziggler, her former co-conspirator from earlier that last year. So continuity, you love to see it. So they want to rematch the tag titles, and Sonya says, well, Montez, you're still hurt with your leg injury, and so let's give some other teams a chance. Keep doing your silly little skits. Like, way to take the piss out of them. I say that. Keep doing your goofy stuff, and when you get healthy, we'll have that rematch and everything. We then go to the Ultimate Athlete Obstacle Course Challenge. I was really hoping it was going to turn into some kind of acronym. It didn't. You've got Bayley versus Bianca Belair here. And Michael Cole hosts it until Bayley kicks him off. Bayley goes first, and the obstacles are you flip a tire, you run hurdles, you go over these military walls, and Bayley just skipped them. Chad Gable was there in the corner, and she picked up Chad in a fireman's carry and walked about 20 feet with him, puts him down, and then goes to sink a basketball. The second layup connected. So she does her time in 1:12. Bayley then enhances the obstacles for Bianca to make it a little harder. She has taller hurdles. And instead of Chad Gable, it's Otis who Bianca has to carry, which she fucking kills at. She just picks him up like he's nothing. It's I'm going to take 300 pounds and walk across. I hurt my back just watching that stuff. And so Bianca looks very impressive. She jukes Bayley, breaks her ankles, and sinks the basketball in under a minute, beating Bayley's time. But Bayley is a sore loser, and she beats up Bianca and rams her into the post of the basketball hoop as the segment ends. Yeah, I definitely thought it was going to go a different way. I thought it was going to be an exact replica of when Lashley and Sami Zayn did the obstacle course a couple years ago, where Bianca wouldn't even had a chance to finish it. So I thought that was surprising that they went to completion. I thought it was just going to be she picks up Otis, puts her down, then Bayley jumps her or something. We didn't get that. We got the full thing. So that was a bit different. I think that was great. It makes Bianca, either way, it makes Bianca look good, but this I think looks better. We see Rey Mysterio trying to prepare Dominik for his match with King Corbin Bleu. Dominik's very confident in his abilities, but Rey says this doesn't work. Well, you're doing things my way. Whatever that is, what the hell would the difference be? More flips. We get Corbin versus Mysterio. It's Dominik's first match in months, and it's his first on SmackDown ever. He starts out quick, but Corbin runs him down. Corbin easily defeats Dominik here. He blocks a 619 attempt. It hits him right in the mush. Then with the end of days, his music has a hard time playing. It finally does. So good squash match for Corbin here. And they say now it's time for Dominik to, do things his dad's way, whatever that means. But, it's a squash match. It is what it is. And then we go to what is presumably our main event as Paul Heyman takes on Adam Pearce. Excuse me. Heyman's fists are taped. He looks ready to go, but suddenly he trips going up the stairs and seems to be hurt. And so they flip the script on Adam Pearce. Heyman says, card subject to change. So Roman Reigns comes out. And I knew it. I knew we were going to get Roman versus Pearce before the Rumble in lieu of what happened last week. So we're getting this thing. Pearce actually gets a shot off, which the Thunderdome crowd totally misses, by the way. They totally dropped the ball in that reaction. But Roman just beats the hell out of Pearce for a while. And then they're going out into the stage area. And then suddenly Kevin Owens emerges and starts taking the fight to Roman. Hits 2 stunners and a pop-up powerbomb on the announce table to wrap up the show. And so that was, when's the last time we saw Roman get beat up like that on TV? Kevin Owens looks great here. I thought we'd see more of Pearce actually being in action. Maybe not against Heyman, but put more of a fight, let's just say. Maybe they're waiting. They're going to keep that one in the chamber. But I think... I thought it was a great way to close the show. And I thought it was just a great show overall. Hang on, let me change my graphics up here. First of all, thank you all for watching. We're 350 people watching at this point, and I'm very much appreciative of that. One quick thing I will say before we go to that. It's been a long week, folks. I'm very tired. But I will say that all month, if you go to prowrestlingtees.com/wrestlingwithregret, the proceeds from all my shirt sales this month, and I'm also retroactively adding on December, is going to go to the American Lung Association. So buy a new shirt, why don't you? I actually have a new design that came out a couple weeks ago called Select Character, where it's got a stylized look of many of my side characters. Not all of them. Some people were asking, where's Italian Man? Where's Donnie Bass? They didn't make the cut in the shirt. Sorry. But check that one out. Select Character. It's on prowrestlingtees.com/wrestlingwithregret, along with more than a dozen other fabulous designs. With that out of the way, let's go on to the grade for this show. I give it a B+. I think it was another very strong show. Not a lot of long segments this week, and that's not a bad thing. I think the segments, most of them were brief, but they were still full of action and or entertainment or information to keep you going. And I think that's fine. Not every match, not every segment needs to be a 10 or 15 or 20 minute banger. They can just be shorter things, and you can still have, you can explore more characters and do more things that way with shorter segments. And so that's my thought. The one thing I didn't like, I guess, not including Dominik Corbin, which is like a squash match, Big E versus Cruz, because the somewhat disappointing but also predictable finish of Sami Zayn getting involved there. Bearded Zayn got cut. Yeah. Oh man, I should have turned Bearded Zayn into a character, but that's kind of hard to maintain. So yeah, SmackDown right now is just leaps and bounds ahead of Raw. Raw's got a couple of good things going for it, but I just don't really see a lot of stuff on Raw that really gets my jollies compared to SmackDown, which I think is a far and away a more entertaining product. So that's my grade. What is your grade for SmackDown this week? Post it in the comment section. I think some people said like C-. Did I watch 205 Live if only for the Dusty Classic? No. I'll look at the results and I'll see what happens there. Let's see here. Oh, somebody brought up this, and I wanted to talk about it. NBC Sports Network is going to be shutting down at the end of the year, and so some of sports will move to USA Network, and that could affect NXT. I mean, first of all, I don't think there's a whole lot to worry about in the short term because it is not until next year. So this year just began. We have plenty of time to, to phase that out and make something work out. But I think NXT moving to a different night can only help NXT and will make everything better. I think they didn't have to go on Wednesdays they didn't have to directly compete with AEW, let's just say, going on the USA Network specifically despite AEW. And I think what we've seen from past instances where they're not indirect competition on some weeks, and the numbers are fine, and NXT might have a better show, it might feel better, I think it will be fine. NXT, somebody said NXT on Thursday, that's a good night for it because Impact's on Tuesday, Dynamite's on Wednesday, Raw's on Monday, SmackDown's on Friday, and yeah, I mean, is MLW on Thursdays? I don't remember what MLW is on, but you could easily put NXT on Thursdays, and I think it would be fine. It might even be better. So yeah, that's my thought on that basically. Here we go. We got some super chats. We finally got one coming in, and this one's just gonna warm your heart, folks. Jake Johnson, $2. I am so lonely. I'm sorry, Jake. Sorry you're lonely. It's a hard time in the pandemic. I will say it's I have friends who I've talked about, them being lonely. And I have to say, I tell them that the pandemic is just temporary and things will get, will ease back into some kind of, I guess you could call it normalcy. But to all my viewers out there and all my friends who are having a hard time right now dealing with the pandemic and having that sense of loneliness, all I can say is just keep your head up and just keep fighting, man, because it will get better. So that's my advice, my guidance there. Jacob Donnelly, $5 super chat, has no comment, nothing to say. Well, sometimes things are better left unsaid. And somebody did let me know MLW is on Friday. So there you go. Yeah, I think Thursday's a wide open spot, basically. You could easily put NXT in that spot. I don't think it would hurt anything, honestly. Let's see here. Are there any of these that I missed? Hold on a minute so I can look, because hang on. Somebody asked me if I think WWE should take Donald Trump out of the Hall of Fame. I don't know. Hey, Jimmy Snuka is in there still, as far as I can tell, and and he killed somebody. So allegedly. Oh, NXT UK is on Thursdays. Whatever. Doesn't bother me. Will there be surprise returns to the Rumble? I'm sure there's going to be some surprise names. I'm sure there's plenty of out-of-work wrestlers in Florida who could use the gig. We'll see. Never say never. I say sometimes. Carlos Colon is still there. Hold up a minute. Boop, boop, boop. Doobity-doop. Yeah, I don't think there's any whole lot of super chats tonight. Somebody named JD, not to be confused with the JD from New York, saying, I just saw a video of me on local news, not Vegas, it was Reno, but saying, no, I didn't know that I worked in the news. Yeah, I did. I worked in the news for a while after college. Between college and some menial manual labor jobs, working in warehouses and stuff. I finally worked in TV for a bit. Worked in Eugene, I worked in Reno, and I was a producer, and then I became a promotions producer, which is like making commercials for the news department, and then I started making commercials for local businesses at a different station, and now I'm doing this full time, and so I think it's grand. Let's see here. Andrew Binder, $5. What wrestling storyline that was universally reviewed negatively did you actually like, or vice versa? I will tell you, I to this day plant my flag on Bray Wyatt as Sister Abigail from, I think it was 2017. It was right before that TLC that got totally changed up because there was the what was the fucking, not gingivitis. It was meningitis. It was a meningitis outbreak that caused them to change so much of the booking for TLC. And so before that, though, you had Finn and Bray, and it was going to be like Bray as like Sister Abigail possessed him, and Finn became the Pumpkin King, and then they threw the match out entirely and made it Finn versus AJ. I was very interested in that matchup. I was very interested in what Bray could have done with like, oh, the twist is Sister Abigail has lived inside him all along, and now it's like coming out. People would shit on that constantly because there was oh my God, Bray's going to wear a dress. It's going to ruin him. Like, even if it fucking happened, I think Bray could have pulled it off. And I was still very much in favor of that twist of Bray being just this vessel for this demonic character in Sister Abigail. But we never got it. And, you know, maybe it's for the best that it didn't happen. But I still am very much of the opinion that if that wrote out, I think that Bray as Sister Abigail, you know, it could have been interesting. It could have been something different. And fans just didn't want to let it was given negative reviews from the start before even saw anything, and then it never got a chance to really come to fruition. So anyway, Goose Hudson, $2 Canadian. Your next glass of water with ice is on me. No, man, it's too cold for ice. I just gotta like stick with the regular water. Speaking of which, I just went outside my office and I thought Sting was debuting in my backyard. It's snowing. Snow, it's coming. I was told that the snow wouldn't show up till Monday, and it's already here. Trakes, $5. Roman tries to kill Kevin Owens repeatedly. Meh. Kevin Owens hits Roman a bit. We have to stop this insanity. Get the officials out there. I mean, that's a tale as old as time, isn't it? Where it's like this really inconsistent enforcement of the rules or inconsistent use of officials. God, was it last year when Orton was like murdering Matt Hardy for like a couple of weeks? Then like the refs are just standing there while Orton's got the chair. I'm going to murder him. No, Randy, don't do it. Stop it. Like they're right there. Tackle him. Take the chair out of his hands, you morons. Like there's such a weird fecklessness with the officials. Like why even have them there if they can't even physically stop somebody from killing somebody, you know? Kareem the Dream, $5. Is WrestleMania 24 on my list of pay-per-views to review? That was the first pay-per-view I watched as a kid. I cried when Rick cried. Let me look real quick. I actually have my file open that has all my suggestions on my nominees. 24 is on there. Lots of Manias are on there. Pretty much like most of the WrestleManias I have not reviewed up to this point, up until like 29, have been nominated, and so they'll happen. You know, it's a long list, folks. Like, and I do it every 2 weeks, so it's gonna be a bit of a stretch, you know, to get everything finally done. But yes, Mania 24 is on the list, and one day, maybe this year, maybe not, it will get covered. And also, it's like it doesn't have to be just Mania season or like X classic pay-per-view season for me to do a classic on that particular topic. I can pretty much do whatever I want because it's my channel, but I mean, it's thematically, you know, more fun to do Mania shows during Mania season and Rumble shows and so forth. But, you know, I'm kind of letting myself take it easy on that. I don't have to necessarily follow that formula so much. Like anniversaries and seasons don't really matter as much to me. If I cared that much about it, I would have put my next classic review, which is the Royal Rumble 2010. I would make that next. And then I would do the WCW series I just did from Sin through the Final Nitro. I would have done that right about now because that's the time period we're at. But Armageddon 2000 is coming up in a while. I would have done that, last month. Say la vie. Parker Soul saying $5. I'm surprised WCW never used Michael Buffer in an angle. Oh, he probably would have cost too much. Like, I don't know. Whatever magic or chemicals that caused him to morph into the giant Michael Buffer and Ready to Rumble round 2. The video game, obviously, he was not available at that time. So we couldn't get Buffer all buffed out, ready to fight somebody. Jordan Taylor, $5. Which wrestler the better pun name, Waylon Mercy or Hugh G. Rection? I guess, what's your definition of better? Like, more clever, more memorable? Like, do you mean worse? Because I think that, Hugh G. Rection is both the best and the worst pun name. I'm trying to think of other pun names. Paul Bear actually is the best pun name of all time. Because I didn't really when I first started watching wrestling, I didn't know what you called the guys who carried the casket. And so then when I saw it, I'm like, oh my God, it's so brilliant. Fucking Paul Bear. He's a dude. So yeah, that blew my mind. So I think that's the best pun name, actually. Man, a lot of super chats coming down the pike. The Real Rob Lowe, 420. Wow, the Real Rob Lowe is here. And he likes weed. 499. Brian, thank you so much for all that you do. I'm a huge fan and love your content. You always make me laugh, so I appreciate you. Well, I appreciate you, Rob Lowe. Thanks for tuning in. I loved you in Parks and Rec. Bob Dobbs, $5. Who is a bigger liar? Paul Heyman or, oh, Jesus, don't give me these initials again. I don't know who this is. I feel like DSP came up last time and I didn't know who it was either. Who's the bigger liar? I don't know who DSP is off the top of my head, but I know Heyman has lied a lot, so I'll probably say him. Let's see here. David McCafferty, I'm sorry. $5 Canadian. What was your EFED character back in the day? I had a few, actually. Like, before, early in the EFED times, like back when they're, and every EFED was different back in the day. Some had rules, like you couldn't use real people. Others were a little bit more lenient. And so like I was like Undertaker or Kane early on because I was a huge mark for them. I think I role played as Jericho for one Fed for a while. It might have even been my own because I also was myself a lot. Like I was, authority figure who also wrestled, but never for the world championship. I always made a point, like, I'm not going to be one of those promoters, man. I'm not going to be one of those bookers who gives myself the title. Like I was like a mid-card champ at best as myself. And then I tried doing this alter ego, like Dark Angel thing. And that just didn't, no, that was terrible. Those were my EFED characters. Zachary Solano, $2. No words. Eduardo Lozano, $5. How do you feel when people think of wrestling as a performance art instead of a sport? Is it better for the industry? I believe it is. Well, okay, first of all, I agree when they say it's performance art, because that's what it is. Wrestling is just very aggressive physical theater. It's no different than like the stuff you see in Cirque du Soleil or even traditional theater and plays and musical or dance. It's like wrestling's a big dance. And so I think that wrestling still has to overcome like getting over that mentality of, oh, we're a sport, because we're not. You need to have athletic background to do well, I think, in wrestling. But I wouldn't call it a sport. Unless, you're speaking in strictly kayfabe terms, like on commentary or something, I would call it that. Is it better for the industry? I think it's only better for the industry if like acting unions take on wrestlers, because wrestlers are actors and they are performers in the same way the aforementioned Cirque du Soleil performers are. So I think with being part of those unions come better, protection and other things like that, autonomy. I think that might affect the independent contractor stuff, but I think it could be better for the industry. I think it's better for I think that the biggest mistake wrestling made was carrying on with the lie way too long, because everyone knew, even back as far as the Depression and before that, people knew wrestling was a work. Like, you'd read articles, and I've done research on this. You'd read articles where people are like, "And the fans are in on the no, they're on the take, but they don't care because it's a great performance. And let's head on down to the speakeasy." But it was, yeah, like, it's always been a performance. And I think people have always known that. And I think when wrestling really insists that it's like real and it's a sport, I think that makes everything look bad in the end, because it makes you look like you're a big fucking liar. Like, you're lying when you say that it's real and that it's a sport, you know? Like, obviously it's not like fake because there's injuries and everything, but it's, you know, it's not a sport. I'm going to die on that hill. Christopher Gabbianelli, $5. Please review the Baywatch with Shawn Michaels in it. Oh, yes, I should do that, because I did review the Baywatch that had all the WCW guys on it, Hogan and Savage and Vader and Flair, and a little tiny appearance from Kevin Sullivan. But no, I should do the one with Shawn Michaels, and then I'll become a certifiable Baywatch expert. Rugby Kumar, $4.99. No words, but thank you. Black Suede, $3. Have I reviewed Starrcade 92 yet? No, I have not. I think, like, the only ones I've reviewed are the first one, 97, 98, and those weren't in order. And I think that's it. I don't think I've reviewed many Starrcades, but, you know, a lot of Starrcades left to review. Let's see here. First Love, $5. I would love to watch you lose your mind reviewing WrestleMania 2. God, I have not actually seen Mania 2 in a long time. I watched it recreationally once, and I think I didn't have a good time with that. But yeah, one thing that, you know, I was talking with Jay Biggs about this recently, and I want to get y'all's thoughts on this. What do you think about, like, watch alongs for, like, random pay-per-views? They don't have to be like the pay-per-view we're watching right now, you know, the next one or whatever. It'd be something like a classic review, and it'd just be us doing commentary on the stuff. I mean, I'm afraid of putting that out there because it can be exhausting to just be, like, on for 3 hours and have to, like, comment on these matches and also try and keep focus. That seems like a daunting task, but Biggs and I have been talking about trying to do more work together on screen. He is going to show up next week for the Rumble predictions video. But yeah, we're just, you know, we want to try and get some more of that stuff. So let me know what you think about that idea of more watch-alongs or live reactions to things. I'm backtracking a little bit because there's some punny names, and we got to talk about this. Val Venus, yeah, that's a good one. Beaver Cleavage, that one's pretty on the nose. Justin Credible's a good one. Isaac Yankum. Let's see here. Oh, DSP is Darkside Phil. Who the fuck is Darkside Phil? Like, I'm sorry, is that somebody I should know? Like, if it's a YouTuber, like, I'm really oblivious to a lot of YouTube culture. Like, when I hear about scandals about big YouTubers having beef, I'm like, who the fuck are these people? Like, that's part of my universe technically, and I don't know anything about them. So I don't know who Darkside Phil is. I'm sorry. Unless that's CM Punk's E-Fed name. I don't know. Lucas Hamilton. Do you think a reason for issues with today's wrestling isn't softness, but too much predictability, making it hard to get invested in shows? That's an interesting question. I don't know. Well, I mean, I think predictability is an issue. I've always said that the thing that would make wrestling more entertaining to watch is an air of unpredictability. So that can sometimes lead to, like, pointless swerves that defy logic or reasoning, and they don't get brought up again. But I mean, it can also just be like, you know, interesting storyline developments you don't see coming and feel earned. So yeah, softness is not the reason I think wrestling has issues today. I mean, I think this sounds really dark, but I think that the fact that everyone or more people in wrestling live such cleaner lives now, I think causes a bit of stagnation in wrestling. Like, you notice, like, when you watch my review of Royal Rumble 2010, you're going to see a lot of people who are in that show from 11 years ago who are either still in the company today or are still otherwise actively involved in wrestling. Very few people on this show are straight up retired or or dead, for example. I don't think there's anyone who's dead from Royal Rumble 2011 that I can think of off the top of my head. But like, yeah, I mean, wrestlers are living cleaner lives now, and there's less places to go. And so you've got these wrestlers who've been there forever. Like, remember when it was a big deal in 2000 that The Undertaker was there for a decade? Like, and then he was there for another 20 fucking years. And like over time, he has guys like Mark Henry and Billy Gunn and Funaki. And then as time goes on, Randy Orton, Sheamus, God, like so many people, Kofi Kingston, so many men and women who've been part of the company, Natalia, who've been there for like 100 years. And there was a different time where you didn't have that. I'm not saying drugs and alcohol are the only reason for that, but like, I think that you had a lot of turnover because you had a lot of stories of wrestlers having problems with drugs and they would get fired for XYZ or whatever. But no, talking about softness, that's not the reason. I think like it's good for wrestlers to have outlets that aren't like illegal or dangerous. Like weed's not dangerous. Okay. I think wrestlers should smoke weed if they really want to. I know a lot of them do. And I think they should be able to do that without any kind of judgment or scrutiny. And so it's a lot better than taking pain pills, you know, a lot better than mixing, you know, Vicodin and fucking vodka. And, you know, the whole Undertaker's comments, wrestling's gotten soft. Like, yeah, let's go back to the days when, yeah, people would OD and would, you know, mess their brains up. Like, let the guys play video games. Old timers have been complaining about video games for like 20 years. It's not going to go away. But predictability, I think, is the bigger problem. And I wouldn't say it makes it hard to get invested. Well, maybe it does make it hard to get invested in shows. I went on a total rant, a total tangent that had nothing to do with this shit. Good mic work. Oh, it's Greg. I was searching for a good ASMR channel. Stumbled across this guy for some reason. Wrestling's okay, I guess. Are you a wrestler? Is that your belt? Thanks, Greg. Yes, that's my belt. That's my hardcore championship. I took it. I stole it from Haku. I stole it from Meng in his sleep. I've been on the run from him ever since. David McCaffrey, 5 more Canadian dollars. How long does it take you to make a review video, research and all? If you're talking about classic pay-per-views, lately I've been getting more into watching the TV programming, like leading up to a show. I've been doing that for the last several shows, pretty much since I started doing stuff for the WCW run I did. I've been trying to watch the Nitros and the weekly shows, and it's easy to do it when you have it on in the background and you don't need to really focus on every specific detail, like listen in for the promos, watch the run-ins or whatever. But like that's going on while I'm doing other work, and so that saves me some time. So I'm watching all these, and unfortunately the network does not have a time and a half feature like say YouTube does, or Daily Motion. So you gotta watch it all in real time, and then it's all done and everything. And so that's obviously the time it takes to watch those. You watch the show, that takes me like a day because honestly I'm so distracted and like, you know, taking notes, watching it, like trying to add my own little things in from what I've studied and everything. And then the actual production of the video can take a few days because like I can film in like an hour or so and I A-roll it, and then I send it over to my editor who B-rolls it. That takes a couple of days, 2-3 days. So, you know, I guess total takes about a week's worth of work total to actually produce a classic review. And like long forms can take a bit longer because I mean there's more things to grab from, and obviously, but I mean we're trying to streamline that at this point. So that's my take on that. Oh geez, I think went way down. Pardon me. People are asking about Superstar Spectacle. I've heard about it. I don't know if I'll watch it though. Art of Balance, $7 Canadian, 0 words in any language. Tyler Joseph Smith, $2.99. Thoughts on the Street Profits using red solo cups again? Whatever. I mean, like, I think it does kind of go against the vibe. They're supposed to be SmackDown guys, have blue solo cups. You know, make it work. Ultimately, that's a detail I don't really think needs to be dwelled upon. Samuel Newsom, $4.99. What's your favorite finisher in wrestling? Mine is either the package pile driver or the backdrop driver. I've been asked this before. I'm trying to think what my favorite finishers are. Like, I love a good lariat. Like, clothesline from hell always looks so devastating. I would never want to take that move. I used to be really big into the Anaconda Vice. Like, when I first saw, I think it was Kenta who did it first. I forget who CM Punk stole it from, but first time I saw Anaconda Vice, I was really hooked on that. I thought it was a really cool move. That's like back when I trained. So I forget. Other favorite finishers, man. Like, I'm trying to think some just good ones, just good simple ones, you know? Excuse me, the Frog Splash. I love the Frog Splash. Actually, I love all the variants of it for the most part. Like, Eddie's is good, but I think D'Lo's was better. I always love the fact he really went in for it, man. He went like pump and then wow, like that. Like, I used to practice the D'Lo Brown Frog Splash like at swimming pools and stuff when I would go on vacation. I was doing a whole bunch of the the lowdowns and stuff. Trying to think about what other finishers I like. I don't know. Like, you know, it's like one of these days I have to sit down and just kind of like think about the ones that really get my dander up, you know, get my jollies from. But those are just a few of them. Let's see here. Some people are. Let's see here. I'm trying to read some of these. One of the hosts of OSW has a Twitch watch-along stream every weekend where he and his wife rewatch old OSW episodes. I want to do, on Patreon, by the way, I've got a commentary track. I'm trying to make a regular thing for my older episodes. And so it's always been just me, but now I want to get Biggs involved in that too. Maybe watch them together. I just need somebody to bounce stuff off of. Inigo Montoya, $4.99, just realizing Orton's 20th year is next year. Isn't that crazy? Like, God, I feel like Orton just started, man. No, that's not true. But I feel like time after a certain point got really stretched out in a really weird way. So it's like all these multi-decade veterans who've been there. They've been there forever. Like, Orton's been there forever. And like, I don't think he'll ever work anywhere else, you know? But I think it was just, there's a lot of, I think a lot of stagnation in wrestling. I think that's why people tune away from it, because people just there for so long. They never fucking leave. Like, they never leave. John Cena was there for 15 years. You wonder why people got sick of him? It's because he never left. And when he was gone for like 2 weeks and came back. Like, there was just an issue of like people are there for way too long for whatever reason, and it makes the product very stagnant. Why you got to have more people changing things up. Brandon Moeller, $5. Your channel got me back into pro wrestling, so many thanks. Would Chris Benoit be on my Mount Rushmore of purely in-ring performers? So not thinking about the murders and the suicide, any of that. No, I don't think I would. I mean, if we're Mount Rushmore, keeping it to 4 people, I don't think I would put Benoit on that. Like, if we want to do technical wrestlers, yeah. But I mean, we want to talk about overall in-ring performers, I would put a lot more people higher than Benoit, because as good as he was technically and his intensity was great, he lacked a lot of charisma, a lot of character. And I think that's part of what makes somebody a great in-ring performer. Off the top of my head, I don't know my Mount Rushmore for that, but maybe I'll get back to you. But no, I would not put Benoit on my Mount Rushmore of overall in-ring performers. That is my hot take. Let's see here. Just scrolling through some of these non-paid texts. If I saw anything, if I caught anything good. Yes, D'Lo is doing commentary for Impact now. Good for him. Inigo Montoya. Punk stole the Anaconda Vice from Kenta too. What hasn't he stolen from him? I don't want to say. Don't quote me on saying that he stole from Kenta, because I don't know. I know that it was a Japanese wrestler. I can't tell you who it was at first. Shooting Star Press, that is also a great finisher as well. Christopher Gutierrez. Do you agree that Stone Cold would have stayed in WWE in 2002 if they waited to turn him heel then instead of 01? I don't know. You got me. Like, I think that the more I think about it, like, Austin turning heel wouldn't have been so bad if The Rock didn't also leave. Like, that was the 1-2 punch that killed it for a lot of people. I think if one of those things didn't happen, then I think wrestling would have been more beloved for a bit longer. assuming Austin's health, wasn't an issue or something. I think that like, yeah, so maybe wait a year and see if Austin turns heel. Like, I think it was better that he went out as a babyface. Like, I don't know. I think they could have taken, think about like what they could have done, kind of like what they did with Roman's heel turn last year, where they used him being off TV for the pandemic as, a fuel and motivation for his heel turn. Like, you could have had Austin like stay a babyface, he could have still taken his ball and gone home, and then come back as a heel and talk about, you pieces of trash push me too much. What? And then the what still would have gotten around now. Let's see here. Oh, the Anaconda Vice is Hiroshi Tenzan's move. Thank you for correcting me, because I didn't know. Let's see here. I am going to wrap this up soon, but we just got a new one. Linwood Ross, $10. Love the content. Been a fan for a while, and glad to find a way to Sposix. I'm assuming you meant the word support, but thank you very much for your Sposix, Linwood. And thank you very much for being a fan. Let's see here. I think, we're going to wrap this up here. I'm going a bit longer than I thought it would, but thank you to everyone who's been watching this. We're at 457 folks. And I think we all, let me know what y'all thought about this one. We are going to come back here next Friday night for the SmackDown review once again. And just one more time, I will say, if you go check out my shirts at prowrestlingtees.com, the proceeds from that go to the American Lung Association all this month. And I still have, I think there's about $400 from the Brody Lee tribute video alone that are going to go toward that as well. Okay, here's the last one. Skipper the Eye Child. What do I think of Nick Camarado joining the Jurassic Express as Caveman Camarado? That's not a bad idea. I like that. I didn't think about that one, but I think if anyone could rock a caveman gimmick and like as a way to get over right away, it's not a bad idea. I was impressed with Nick Camarado this past Wednesday, and I'd like to see more of him. I'd like to see more of what he can do. I mean, I think the fact that Moxley went out of his way to like make him look good, I think was very impressive. Okay, here's the last one. Art of Balance 00 Canadian. Canada's its own country now. Their currency is different than ours. Here's more money. How old do you think someone could be to start a path in the business? DDP started at 35, but that's weird. Really, like, I don't know. I think after a certain point, and depending on what you can do and what you're able to accomplish, age is kind of irrelevant. Depends on what you can do athletically and what you can offer as a performer. Batista started late too. Like, he was a pretty late bloomer, and he turned out pretty well for himself. Obviously, the younger you start, the more potential you have to wrestle longer. But it's just, there's no real wrong age. Obviously, I think Boogeyman was 40, even though he kept saying he was 30. He was 40, and he's a fucking legend. He's a WWE legend, and I don't know why. But I don't think age is necessarily a restriction, but I mean, sometimes there are guys who are like get picked up late in life, and then they're just there for a while, and their best years are getting used up, and they don't know what to do with them. Like Jackson Riker, where it's like he's he's no spring chicken, he's not that good. So what exactly do they keep seeing in him? But I think if you're good enough, I don't think age really matters. And I don't know, England's laws are weird where you can start training at like 9 years old or something. And that blows my mind. Like, oi, I got scoliosis, mate. I'm 14 years old. I got the black lung and I got scoliosis from wrestling. And I think with that terrible accent, that's where we're going to wrap this one up. But thank you all so much for watching. It's been a lot of fun. And always remember, the influencer loves you. I'm Brian Zane, and I will see you next time.